essentially spearhead us through this discussion, if I could please invite on stage Aishwarya Patil, correspondent with the Times Network. And joining her, please, Aishwarya, kindly do take your position on stage. And she's in conversation with Abhishek Somany, Managing Director of Somany Ceramics. Thank you once again. And with that, Aishwarya, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Mr. Somany, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Certainly, you have your finger on the pulse as far as the real estate sector is concerned. But I would like to say that from Somany Ceramics' perspective, you're kind of the ancillary and the components what that sector is to the automotive sector, and it's very essential. If you could talk a little bit about the boom, but first set the context of what this boom is really about. Who is really buying into this boom? We're talking about luxury, ultra luxury. That's the buzz post-pandemic especially. If you could talk the key factors that have been really driving this kind of growth in India's real estate sector.
Sure, thank you for having me. I think there are a couple of booms which are happening right now post the pandemic. One, I think it's coincided with the very poor show of the real estate pre the RERA time. So between 2014 and 2017, when RERA really kicked in, we saw a lot of fly-by-night operators. We saw a lot of poor quality builders which took the consumer for a ride. And that got weeded out with RERA coming in. Coupled with that was the pandemic, where a lot of people realized that homes are just not something which you would normally reside in, but it's a little more than that. So we saw that pandemic, people spent a lot more time at home. Then this whole work from home culture happened. A lot of companies have now insisted on people working from home. So coupled with both of these things, we saw a boom. What's happened is a lot of what was inventory which was there has got sold. So new inventory had to come in, and now it's in better hands. So better builders, better quality builders. With RERA, again, that's a check. So therefore, we've had a whole new growth wave post 2019-20, and that's what you see right now with a lot of builders launching their products. That's on one end. The very low income, which was earlier the 10 to 15 lakh rupees, there is no 10 to 15 lakh rupees. The new normal now is 50 to 60 lakh rupees, which is the low income. And then there's a very large part of it, which is the middle income bracket. And then you have the ultra luxury. You're very right. A lot of people are spending a disproportionate amount of money on homes, on extremely expensive homes. But that's a very small segment of the entire home industry. What we're also witnessing is the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns. So there's been a lot of boom in what we call the IHB, which is the individual home buildings. That's nothing to do with the builder. That's you and me buying a small property and then building on top of it. So all of that has also seen a massive growth. So yes, you're right. We've seen a massive upsurge in homes and renovations of existing homes.
Right. And if you talk about data, and that's what has been suggested, is by 2027, we'll be seeing the HNIs really doubling by 2027. And the rise of the HNIs will also mean rise of real estate luxury as well. Do you see this sustainable and this momentum to continue in the future as well?
I'm nobody to comment on how much would be the HNI boom and how much would be the middle income boom. But very clearly, India is going to be adding another 150 million people in the next 10 years to 12 years for urbanization. And this urbanization is not going to happen in big towns. It's going to happen in the smaller towns. A lot of India is getting urbanized. Unlike in China, which is basically the port towns of China, in India, there are so many new cities which are coming up with aircraft connectivity happening, with road connectivity happening. So you'll see a lot of new cities which will mushroom and become much larger. That's where I think the growth is. That's where I think the boom will be. And with 150 million people getting urbanized over this time frame, you will need more homes. So very clearly, there is no question that there will be more and more homes which would be required.
Right. I really think I associate myself with the middle class millennial home buyer, which is the next generation of buyers in India. Where do you see the room for us? And I think I see a lot of millennials as well in this room. for us to be the next generation of home buyers, and where do you see the space, considering real estate has a lot of challenges? So your thoughts on that?
So you are slightly safer than what you were earlier because of the builders, the fly-by-night builders, which have got weeded out. So from that point of view, I think what you should be looking at is choosing builders who are very tradable. So good builders where you buy a flat is going to appreciate. But more than that, I think a good 15, 20 years ago, leveraging a property used to be considered in India as आपने property को अपने घर को गिरवी रख दिया. That is gone now. I think everybody leverages, everybody mortgages. The whole word mortgage has come into India. So, which means that all of you buying properties, the millennials buying properties, they have a lot more of disposable income to spend on furnishing and finishing. Earlier, you would not leverage a property, so you would be cashed. All your cash would have gone just buying that particular space. Today, when you're leveraging it, your EMIs are spread over 10, 15 years. You have a lot more to spend on finishing, which is where all the building material industry is thriving. You name, there's so many new brands of lights. There's so many new. Very recently, you saw one of the large paint manufacturers buy another very large light manufacturer. Now that's consumption. Whereas if you see, look at tiles, I can talk of our industry. Our tiles used to be considered as merely as hygiene item. It used to be put in a bathroom and a kitchen at best. Today, we're selling tiles to pretty much every single nook and corner of the house, from a drawing room to a dining room to a patio, verandas, roofs, driveways, etc. So, lot more is being spent on finishing.
So from the building materials point of view, the way things are evolving, prop tech, technology also evolving, how do you see the supply chain and manufacturing also change for your sector as well, and from Somany Ceramics perspective as well?
So from our perspective and the industry specific, I think we're one of the 13th largest in the world and second largest in India. So from our perspective, what has happened is we've become more regional. Earlier our factories, when I joined business, there was one factory which was in Haryana and a very small operation in Gujarat. Now we have a fairly large operation in Gujarat. Haryana has become even larger. It's our largest factory even today. We've also gone into the south. So a lot of us have become regional, closer to the market. More than that, technology has changed. Technology is changed so much that the tiles which used to be considered like a normal tile, which was 8 inches by 12 inches, at best 12 inches by 12 inches. Today we are able to get sizes up to 6 feet by 10 feet. So they're emulating marble, they're replacing all natural stones. With technology, digital printers, our printers are actually not almost, it's exactly the same as a normal HP standard printer where you'd put a paper and you can print your photograph or any image you would want to. Here, instead of paper, we're putting in a tile. So, and at the other end, you get any single design you want to. More than that, we're also able to attain any surfaces which we were not able to attain earlier. So today you want a wood look-alike, you want a leather look-alike, you want a marble look-alike, you want it polished, you want it matte. Anything and everything is possible with technology. Therefore, we are able to now replace a lot of other material which is hard to find and hard to apply. So tiles are extremely easy to apply. So a wood, a marble, you put in a wood, you have problems with termites. You put in a wood, you have problems with with humidity, etc. That's nothing with tile.
So consumer preferences keep on evolving, and one of the things that you mentioned prior to this in our conversation was there are a lot of challenges for home buyers, especially the middle class millennials, the next generation ones. And you mentioned about input tax credit. Talk a little bit about that and your thoughts as well.
So today, unlike when GST had been introduced, when GST was introduced, any builder would put any product from the building material supply chain, which means ply, paint, tile, pipe, wires, so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying? All of that he would then pay a GST on, and then that the builder was able to get an input tax credit. Yeah. That has changed a couple of years ago in the budget. So today there's a flat fee, the flat tax which the builder is paying. Now, if the government had to revert and go back and allow the builders, the real estate builders, to avail and claim the input tax credit, that would make the home slightly cheaper for the final consumer. So that is something which we've been debating with the government. They are listening, but I don't know when that will happen. But that definitely will make the product cheaper. On the GST, there's another element that is specific to ceramics, which is sanitary ware and tiles. Our largest cost, our single largest cost is gas, natural gas. All of us are running on natural gas. Natural gas is not in GST. So as a manufacturer, I do not get any input tax credit on my single largest input cost.
Right. Another consumption point of view, I come from Mumbai, and we have a twin city, Navi Mumbai. So there is this need for our cities to really grow larger, or see an alternative as a twin city, or look at even tier 2, tier 3 cities with population really brimming to the top in most of our metros as well. How do you look at this and the need for this second twin city to evolve as the population grows in cities?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, after independence, there's only been a single city which has really been thought of and conceptualized and put into India, which is Chandigarh. There is no other city which came up after independence. So it's high time that new cities come up. There was one in Andhra which was to come up. There was one in Gujarat which was to come up. I think it's only a question of time that more and more smaller cities will become larger with road connectivity and airport connectivity. This whole Udan scheme with 140, 50 airports which are coming up, that is going to make a lot of difference for people to commute. Where you mentioned Navi Mumbai, which is like twin city, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's a lot of people who now stay in Pune, work out of home for 3 days and come into Mumbai only for 3 days.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Pune has exploded.
And that does reflect the lack of space also in the cities.
Absolutely.
So what are the key things that really government needs to do to expand these metro cities? And also the work is what brings them to these cities. So, from a policy perspective, what are the few steps that we really need to take for the next generation?
So I think what the government needs to talk of is urban planning, and the big cities are already completely capped out. There is no space there. So they'll have to think of, and I'm not an expert to speak about that, but I think it's urban planning, it's cityscaping. You have NEOM coming up in Saudi Arabia, so you really have to think 50 years ahead and then build a city.
Right. Global warming is one of the key concerns, and real estate on the whole is a key contributor to the rising pollution, especially in Mumbai. I haven't seen the last 7 to 8 years without cement sort of floating in the air. So as an industry representative, what are the key steps that you need to take to really ensure a sustainable, residential as well as commercial space that we're building in our cities as well, and sustainable modes of doing that as well?
So I think Mumbai is an exception because Mumbai was the first city in India which had high rises. Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, none of them have high rises at that time, 40, 50, 60 years ago. So I think Mumbai, what you're saying is, what I understand from my real estate friends, is the issue in Mumbai is to do with redevelopment, and all the new buildings being brought down and new ones all the old buildings being brought down and new ones being constructed. So a lot of the pollution and a lot of that issues are probably unique to Bombay, and not so much so in the Chennais and the Bangalores and the Delhis of the world. Of course, Delhi has a separate pollution problem which has nothing to do with real estate, but that set aside, I don't think that problem is there in anywhere in the country. So again, it's a question of how the government can probably moderate or put checks and balances towards what is being made. I mean, buildings still have to get made. New York also got made.
But from a manufacturer's perspective, especially an allied industry that really is a key contributor to the real estate sector, what are the sustainable ways in which you can manufacture all of your products as well?
One big sustainable way is we've gotten closer to the source. We've gone closer to the source and closer to the buyer. So that means the carbon footprint of bringing in raw material and also transporting the tile is reduced. Secondly, we produce only on gas. So we're doing a lot of effort to consume lesser gas for much larger output. So increasing our output from the same amount of gas or lesser gas to be used. So from that point of view, I think ceramics is an exception. We are anyway fairly green. Then all our waste, we try to crush the waste and put it in the product. So a lot of our waste gets recycled in the product, and the rest of the waste which is left, we've just started a new division which is our easy fix tile adhesive division. So a lot of our waste gets recycled into making tile adhesives. So those are steps which we are taking, and we do have a vision of being completely zero pollution or net zero in the next 5 to 7 years.
To your mind, when you look at the real estate sector in India, which are the next key growth markets that you see up and coming?
Very clearly the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns. I think that's where the boom is. That's where our products will be used. That's where the homes are much larger. They're not small flats like in Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore. So that's clearly the focus. And to my mind, the urbanization in India is going to be back into the smaller towns rather than smaller towns moving into the bigger towns.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for speaking to us, sir. And we look forward to having more such conversations with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya, and to Mr. Somany. Thank you for that insightful discussion, some key takeaways, and certainly gleaned a lot. And Aishwarya and Mr. Somany, if I could have you back on stage for a quick moment, we want to present sir with a token of our appreciation. So it's just a special memento, sir, to thank you for being a